Hey, I'm Candace Scalise. This is a special CBS 21 Next today. We are talking all about the Pennsylvania Turnpike with our executive producer and assistant news director, Tyler Jesse. So Tyler worked
Thank
really
you,
hard
Candace.
airing it at 5:30 today, all about the Turnpike. So what really made you interested to want to dive deeper into this road that has been around since 1940?
Well, we've you take the road all the time. I know I'm one of those people. I have family out in Pittsburgh. So what's the easiest way to get out to Pittsburgh? What's the easiest way to get anywhere is taking the turnpike. And it's not, if you don't have an easy pass, it can cost you, at least from Harrisburg to Pittsburgh, it can cost you like $100
Mm-hmm.
just to travel both ways. So we had the same questions anyone would ask when taking that type of stuff. Where are these toll dollars going?
Yeah.
Why do they go up every single year? You know, what's the point of all of this? So we kind of dug a little bit deeper. We were able to speak with the CEO of the Turnpike Commission, the chief engineer of the Turnpike Commission, and we really have to. I really want to thank them because they didn't have to go on camera and do all this stuff. So it was a really good exercise, really awesome opportunity to get the chance to ask questions that we've been asking, that I'm sure you've been asking, that everyone is asking all the time. And so uh, I think we had more than enough here to not even just do a half hour. I think we could have gone a whole hour if I had the opportunity.
Those interviews when it comes to why our prices keep going up. We know that the turnpike's in debt. So what gives, I guess? Is there a positive news for the consumer here?
Well, it depends on what your definition of positive is. So what I can say is, what I would say positively is, I would say they are not wasting those dollars.
Okay,
Let
so
me
that
say
is
that.
good news.
I
It's
don't
not
think
it's not our money going to waste.
yeah, I don't think they're wasting those dollars. But on the flip side, on the other side of that, of the toll revenue that the Turnpike Commission gets, 52% of it goes to debt and to turn
Mhm.
and the PennDOT, whereas only 48% of it actually goes back into the road. So
Got it.
the big reason for that, and it's really hard to explain in a short amount of time, but I'll try my best, is there was this law that was passed by the General Assembly back in 2007 called Act 44. And basically, what happened in a nutshell for people who are watching is the Turnpike was in $4 billion of debt, and they were looking at ways to try and get a little bit more money into that. And they were looking at tolling Interstate 80, which runs partly through northern Dauphin County, Lebanon counties. Um, that failed. But
Hmm.
this bond, basically what happened was a bunch of bonds got issued to the Turnpike to kind of help keep them afloat, and it exploded their debt. So for a
Mm.
while, PennDOT, the Turnpike was paying $450 million a year for a very long time, and they're still paying back this debt. So it's a very long way of saying that the Turnpike has a crap ton of debt, and it's their hope they raise, and they have to raise tolls every year because of that. They raise, to help cover that cost.
And
Um, on
something else
top
that I
of on top of the rising costs that
Mhm.
for maintaining a road that goes more than 500 miles across the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, something else that I found interesting too when we were listening back to the CEO and then the chief engineer who helps maintain that road is they mentioned the investment in the turnpike and growth in the future. And so talking about how one of the reasons for raising tolls is to make sure that they have the ability to expand to, a 6 lane from a 4 lane highway in parts and to invest in these roadways and basically become greener in the future too. So we're watching video right here of one of the not toll
Those
plazas, but
toll
one of the
plazas
toll
are
booths.
gone, Candace. A lot of
Yeah,
those toll
going
plazas are
down.
getting removed.
Yeah.
And you
So
mentioned
what?
construction there, and
Yeah.
honestly, if you take the Turnpike out west, you run into it all the time. I know. I'll use myself again because I drive out to Pittsburgh all the time. They've
Hmm.
done a lot of work on in the Somerset area, and
Yep.
doing that and expanding that into 3 lanes on each side. So, you see that work, and I say to myself every time I drive through, oh, there's my toll dollars at work, and they are actually being used
Hmm.
to put stuff together and things like that. And you were starting to allude to the other projects and stuff that they're working on. The Turnpike has put in these like pollinator gardens, is what they call them, and basically these like really green. I think they had the video up of it earlier. Um, and basically they have these gardens up that are going to be popping up throughout the turnpike to kind of help the environment, create these like gardens for to bring back bees and stuff like that. And really their goal is to kind of reduce the carbon footprint. This is one of the other projects that they've been doing, open road tolling. If you're driving out to Philly, you will see these gantries across the turnpike, and that's how they're going to be basically clocking you and charging you now. Is each time you go through one of those, it'll track how far you've traveled on the turnpike, and they will pay you if you have an easy pass. They'll bill you through there, or they will take a picture of your license plate and send you a bill in the mail that way. But one of the good things that I laughed at when I was talking to the chief engineer about these things is he says they're not measuring speed on this. So if you're flying through there, you're not going to get a speeding ticket, which is you should be flying anyways. But
Right,
if you
right.
are, you're not going to get a speeding ticket. Um, and the thing that they're most excited for about that, Candace, is they're going to be able to create more ways to get on and off the turnpike and more traditional
Okay.
exits.
Yeah.
This is another thing that they're working on. This is fiber optic cable that they're actually laying down in the turnpike as well, and they're kind of using it to help get it. They're actually kind of using this to help get electricity and internet into
Mm.
some rural areas that are around the turnpike, or that's what they're
Wow.
saying. That's what they say they're using it for. And eventually they want to, they really want to be self-sustainable. So like this is some of the work that they're doing here, laying down these fiber optic cables and stuff like that. We didn't get a chance to really tackle this part of it too much in our half hour. But these are some of the things that they're doing with these tool dollars, and and when you ask them, they say, it's not a waste. They say this is a return on your investment, on my investment, on driving the road each day.
Hmm.
Because you don't have to use you don't have to use the turnpike, but is there
True.
really an easier way to get across the state? There isn't. I mean, if you're
Right.
driving to Philly, you got to take 30. That's not easy.
Hmm.
You've taken 30. That's not easy.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh, you would have to take 4 or 5 other different ways to pop up on 20.
Stoplights,
Yeah,
traffic, you name it.
it's
Well, and
exactly.
something else that was interesting that they mentioned too, the chief engineer was talking about restructuring the whole road and basically tearing it up and repaving it because it was built originally in 1940. And there's been some reconstruction since then. But you have this road that, as of today, is the official 85th anniversary, October 1st, of when it opened. And so just thinking about how much technology has changed over the years, obviously, we've seen the ticketing change to Easy Pass, change to toll by plate, and now we have these basically non-existent quote unquote toll booths where as you're looking here you can
Yeah,
just go right under. So he did talk about that too, of just the manpower and all of the work that's going to be done on the road. But it does stink as a consumer that you have to pay for it, but you
exactly.
also get this no stoplights straight through the state kind of thing where you can just zoom on by. So
It's some people will say it's worth it. Some people won't. I
mhm.
mean, it's
Yeah.
every. I don't. In my time, I've been doing this. I've been in news for 10 years. I don't think there are many roads that are nearly as polarizing as the turnpike.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really interesting. Well, and something
Simply
that we talked
for
about as well that came up, I would say a month or two ago, was the salaries of the senior team at the Turnpike Commission, and we talked to the CEO about that because I believe it's his salary that's 348,000. It goes down from there, but when you see that number, it's like, wow, like you're getting paid a lot of money.
yeah.
So he went on to
I'm
explain
actually
that
pulling
today a
that
little
up
bit.
right, pulling some of that stuff now. So, um,
Yeah.
the top 6 executives of the Turnpike Commission, they all make more than the governor, Josh Shapiro. The CEO is making $348,000. The COO $308,000. The chief engineer, chief counsel, it goes from like $280,000 to $258,000. And for those who don't know, the governor actually makes $250,000 a year. So yeah, it's a lot of money there. And
Yeah.
and that was a big thing that sparked a lot of conversation a couple months ago when those raises were announced. But when we asked them about it, we gave them the opportunity to really clear this up, really talk and explain what was going on, and they say that we had to do this. If we didn't, all of our executives would be going somewhere else, and they argue that could hurt the Turnpike, maybe cause more issues down the road. So it's very much kind of like trying to keep, if you want to retain your top talent, you got to pay them a little bit more, and that's kind of what they're looking at. And I would say they say none of this happened behind closed doors. They say they put out a study. They did a wage study that found that actually their executives, when compared to other toll systems, so I think they compared it to like Ohio and Florida when we were talking with them, basically that they are making significantly less than the executives of other tolling agencies. So
right, and they did a comparison basically and said, pay us the lowest amount of what you found. So it seems like a lot of money to us, and it is a lot of money, but compared to other senior team leaders in same or similar agencies, they say it's comparable to what they're doing and how hard
actually, in
they're
some
working.
places they say it's still less. So
Right.
It's it's interesting, and it's interesting in that that the Turnpike is still sort of owned by the state too. It's like this agency that the commissioners are appointed by the governor. They get some Senate approvals and stuff like that. So it's really it's everyone kind of has an opinion on this road, on that stretch of land.
There are 550,000 people who travel it daily.
Yeah.
550,000.
Exactly, and they're projecting $1.8 billion of toll revenue this year. Now,
so did they say like when this debt is going to be paid off? And do you know the debt amount? I don't know it off the top of my head.
So what I do know is that at the Auditor General's office, they do performance audits on the Turnpike Commission every couple of years, and we didn't have time to mention this, but I spoke to a press person for the AG's office leading into this, and they said they will be doing another one soon. They did a performance audit a couple of years ago, 2022, I believe, or 23. It was either 22 or 23 that said that at that time the commission was $13 billion in debt. They said the commission says their goal is by 2028 that yearly increases to tolls will be capped at 3%. That's their goal. Doesn't mean it'll these are the pollinator gardens we were talking about earlier. But their goal is to do average rates of up to 3% every year, and I believe that they will hopefully be out of debt by 2050 is the time frame that they're looking at. But who knows what could happen over the next 25 years.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So interesting. Okay. Anything else you want to add? I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I feel like we hit most of the key points. The salaries, the pollinator gardens.
There's really a lot of stuff here that I've learned about the Turnpike. And I think that's really what I'm hoping everyone kind of gets out of this, is that everyone kind of learns something new. It is the piece, the special is very different from a regular newscast. We got a little more time to kind of dig in and answer some of these questions. So like some of these interviews and some of these stories are going to be a bit longer than what people are used to. So I really hope that they kind of can settle in and really kind of listen and take it all in, because it's not going to be your normal newscast that's running and gunning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I did a little history piece yesterday on it, and there's a really fascinating timeline on the paturnpike.com page. And Tyler sent it to me last night, and then I watched all these videos. But it was so cool to learn that in the 1940s, Franklin D. Roosevelt basically granted the state of Pennsylvania federal money because they were getting out of the Great Depression. They wanted people to work, they wanted to provide jobs. So they got 15,000 jobs across 18 states, and they put together the turnpike in less than a year, in 23 months. And that was kind of the deal. They were like, you have to do it in 20 months or else we're not, like, we're going to give you this money, but you got to get it done. So they
Yeah.
worked nonstop. And some of the challenges of, using the railroad tunnels and stuff like that. So you can watch this really cool documentary and just a timeline of how it's changed and progressed over the years. It actually makes you really appreciate the road and the excitement around it. People lined up at 12:01 a.m. on October 1st, 1940, just so that they could drive the turnpike. Because that's what you did. You took leisure drives. Now we don't do that as much anymore, but it's just really cool to see how it has changed throughout the years and how the projects continue and the innovation continues. It helps you appreciate it, and it helps you see like why it's important and what your money does go towards, and just the history behind it all, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I would agree. And I will add uh, one more thing I do want to add is they are
Mhm.
working on some projects now. They said they're doing uh, several bridges that are being reconstructed as well. So again, those are kind of where your toll dollars. That's where they say your toll dollars are going.
Yeah, and I know they have like a 911 center that specifically responds to the turnpike now. They have
They have a dedicated state police troop as well. Troop
yep,
T, they call it.
yep,
That,
call boxes on the side. And there's
yep.
also something too about how they're bringing together science and technology. So it seems like they're very much working towards the future, which is good because the world is ever changing. So it'll be interesting to see what things look like in really the next decade of how it changes.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you.
Thank you.
That's our executive producer there putting together our show for our 5:30 tonight. If you want to watch it, I'm sure it will be here on our YouTube channel as well. He's also our assistant news director, but part of our investigative team that really dives deep into these topics and the questions that you and I answer when we get that easy pass bill, or we're passing under the tolls, or as things are changing. We're curious too, and we want to get those answers for you. So you can find the special on our YouTube page, CBS 21, and we have some questions too on Facebook if you ever want to join the conversation there. For now, I'm Candace Scalise, and that's CBS 21 Next.